Hello, my name is Anamargret, and I am so honored and excited to share this short yin practice with you. The first one is going to be a yin twist. So to begin, we're going to come up on into tabletop, so hands and knees. And I just want to say in advance, if your knees might need some extra cushioning, I'm saying that because mine do, I would use a blanket or a towel if you have one, and just place that under your knees. Okay? And then we're going to step the right foot forward. So both hands are inside your foot. And go ahead and place your right hand on your leg, and this might be where you are the whole time. Or if you wanted to, at some point you can also lift your arm and open up that side of your chest. So I'm going to start with the hand on the knee. And some days also you might want to come onto the outer edge of the foot. And this will give an extra stretch to the hip and the inner thigh. And then slowly start to turn to the right. And we'll hang out here for a couple minutes. And being in the poses a little bit longer gives us a chance to explore not just the physical aspects of the pose, but also the emotional aspects of the pose. How do we feel? What are the thoughts that arise? Can we just sit and be the observer? A little bit longer. Right when it gets uncomfortable, see if you can hang out a little bit longer, just as long as it's not painful. See if you can turn the torso a little bit more. And then we find stillness, sthita. Last 3 or 4 breaths. Inhale and exhale, come back to center. Step your foot back and just sit back for a moment in child's pose. And just notice the body, the sensations coming up in the body, in the mind, and maybe even reflected in your breath. And when you feel ready, let's meet back in tabletop. This time, step your left foot forward. You can place the hand on your knee and start to turn. Make sure you're not just turning from your head, right? So we start to turn from the spine. And again, if you want to let the foot roll out, so we're on the outer edge. And just spending a couple minutes here. And just notice what this side has to say to you. When we're in these longer holes, we start to cultivate a relationship with ourselves that's a little bit different from the normal flow of our day or our practice. And think of turning from the torso, not just your head, and not just your shoulders. Just a little bit longer. Right at that point when you feel, I can't take it any longer. See if you can. Just a few more breaths. And then inhale, exhale back to center. Please move mindfully as we step the foot back and come down into child's pose. Try to lengthen your exhales. and then we'll meet back in tabletop. All right, so we're going to go into a low lunge. And this, you might want some props, okay? So let's step the right foot forward. Keep both hands on the inside. And then you might want to at least start with a block and then see where you go from there. So you can just have your hands on the block for a few breaths. Or perhaps bring your forearms down. You'll feel immediately the lower you go, the more intense it is on the groins and the hips, and perhaps some other places I have not named. Right, but one of the gifts of this practice is it helps us move our edges further and further, right? That's how we get to deepen our practice. So again, as long as it's not painful, it's not hot heat, maybe just discomfort, hang in there. Find your breath. And let your breath rest on the flow. Let your mind rest on the flow of your breath rather than on the discomfort of the body. And just see if anything shifts. Just a little bit longer. Try not to tense other parts of the body than where you're feeling the most resistance. Sometimes we try to compensate. I just felt my shoulders, so we want to keep those relaxed. Last few breaths. Finding patience and curiosity. Last few breaths. Let's go for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, let's come on up. Bring your leg back. If you'd like, you can just take a seat for a moment. Let that energy resettle in your body. I feel all this kind of aliveness and energy moving through. And then let's see what happens on the second side. All right. Other foot forward. For me, it's my left. And again, maybe this is your pose the whole time. So we just kind of want to explore too how the body is feeling today. And then if you're finding it's pretty open, then just come on down. And some of you might not even want a block. So again, customize the pose for you. Find your breath again. And settle. Maybe start to listen to the sound of your breath, or counting the seconds you inhale and exhale. Soften any parts of the body that you feel are tensing. Maybe you find that you can drop your hips a little bit more. That some parts that might surprise you are opening up. Last few breaths. And when you're ready, start to come back. Step your foot back. If you'd like to take a seat. And then we'll go for one more. Okay? Alrighty. This one is with perhaps 2 blocks, but if you don't have blocks, you can just place your elbows on the ground instead, that's fine. Or you could use thick books. Alrighty? So when you're ready, we'll keep the hips stacked over the knees, elbows down and hands at the back of your head. And then we just kind of drop the chest toward the ground, opening up the upper back, the armpits, finding that stretch in the front body, from the belly all the way up to the collarbones. And then notice the contraction in the back body. So all back bends open the front and shorten or contract the back. A few more breaths here. And you always want to pay attention to the body. So if anything really feels uncomfortable or not right for you, please come out of the pose. Honor where you are first. If you're still in the pose, we'll be here just for about 5 more breaths. Feel the inhale and the complete exhale. Now as you press your elbows down, we'll start to lower the arms. Bring your hands to the ground and then sit all the way back in child's pose. Now let your belly and chest rest on your legs. And forward bends, gently contract the front and stretch the back. And just for the next 4 or 5 breaths, we'll breathe into the back body. Opening up the back of the kidneys, all the organs really, the lungs, the liver, the heart. Breathing into your lower back. Take your time and roll up. Notice how you feel. And thank you so much for practicing with me today. Om Shanti.